Alright you guys, in the video for the invisible apple cake that I tested, I mentioned that I used my own recipe for caramel sauce, and I told you guys I would give it to you, so here we go. The full recipe is down in the description below, so make sure you check that out. You're going to need 2 pots for this recipe. One is a smaller sauce pot, and the other needs to be quite a bit larger, and you'll see why later in the video, but the second pot is going to hold the sugar, and it needs to be pretty deep. To the large pot, you're going to add 1 cup of water, 2/3 of a cup of corn syrup, and 4 cups of sugar. Do not stir it. Just leave it be. You do not want to get any sugar crystals on the side of the pot. Now, you're thinking to yourself, no, I'm just going to stir it. Don't. Stop. No. Just don't. Don't stir it. Okay? Leave it. I promise it'll be fine. To the small pot, you're going to add 2 cups of cream, and if you want this to be salted caramel sauce, add 2 teaspoons of salt. Now for this recipe, yes, you are going to need a thermometer. No, I do not make caramel sauce based on the whole wait till it turns an amber color. The secret to what makes this caramel sauce so perfect is the exact temperatures that you bring the sugar to. This is personally my favorite candy thermometer. It's a Maverick CT03. I'll put a link to Amazon down in the description below. But regardless of whatever thermometer you're choosing to use, just make sure it's accurate, and what you're looking for is to get it to 320 degrees to start. That is the temperature at which sugar starts to caramelize. Now later on, you're also going to need 1 cup of sour cream, but we're just going to leave that off to the side for now. Now turn your cream on medium, low. You just want to bring it to a boil and turn it off. The sugar, you know your stove better than I do. I know my own stove. I turn it on pretty high. But if you don't feel comfortable turning it on that hot, just leave it around medium. Your sugar will get there eventually. Now when it comes to cooking sugar or cream, try not to walk away from your stove. They say a watched pot never boils, but as soon as you walk away from cream, that's when it boils over. And as soon as you walk away from sugar, that's when it burns. So stay near your stove. Every once in a while, you want to stir your cream to keep the bottom from burning. Don't stir your sugar. Now, while we're waiting for this caramel to get to 320, let me tell you a story about when I was trying to learn how to make caramel. This was before I went to pastry school, before I even had a job in a bakery, before I really knew anything about what I was doing. I didn't have anyone to teach me. I didn't really have any videos to watch. I was just kind of going off of the recipes on the internet, pretty much all of which said to go to that amber color, which is so vague, I didn't really know what it meant. And it's like, does it want light amber or dark amber? What are we looking for here? I really didn't know. I was really just kind of winging it by myself. I knew I wanted to learn how to make caramel sauce, so I decided to try it. And let me tell you, the first, 4 or 5 times, probably more than that I tried to make caramel, I burned it. And I don't mean just like it got too dark and tasted bitter. I mean, I carbonized it. If you could have compressed the black stuff that I made, you could have drawn with it because it was pure charcoal. A number of times before I knew what pots to use, I boiled my cream and sugar over. It made a mess on the stove. I had hard sugar on the stove. Cleaning that off is a nightmare. I messed up a lot. But I want to tell you this because caramel can be kind of tricky to make. So if you burn your first pot of caramel, don't get discouraged. Get a Brillo pad and Barkeeper's Friend. Start scrubbing your pot and then try again. Anyway, back to the caramel sauce. Now my thermometer is digital, so it beeps at me when it comes to the right temperature. If you're using an analog thermometer, that does not beep at you. Just make sure you're watching it. When it gets to 320 degrees, this is when we kind of start stirring the sugar. Now, if you have a magic stove that actually heats evenly, you probably don't have to do this step, but I've never seen a stove heat evenly in my entire life. So what you want to do is pick up the pot. If the handles are hot, make sure you use hot pads, and you're going to sort of swirl the sugar. Don't go too fast. You don't want it to splash up on the sides and burn you. And that evenly distributes the heat and the caramelized parts of the sugar so that the whole thing cooks evenly. You're going to do this a few times until you reach the final temperature, which is 360 degrees. Once the caramel reaches 360 degrees, that's when you're going to add your cream. Now for this part, I take out my thermometer because mine sort of sticks into the middle of the pot and it gets in the way of whisking. But you're going to add your cream just a little bit at a time. And here you can see why that is. As soon as you add that cream to that boiling sugar, it's going to make it foam up a lot. And it's going to come almost halfway up the pot, which is why you need your pot to be pretty deep. Otherwise, as mentioned earlier, it'll boil over and then you have to clean up sugar off of your stovetop, and that sucks. Now, a ton of steam comes off of this because basically your boiling sugar is immediately reboiling the cream. So I like to wear gloves when I do this so the steam doesn't hit my hands and burn them. Yeah, this is boiling sugar it's pretty dangerous, so take precautions. Okay, be careful, don't let kids do this. After your cream is all added and it's calmed down a little bit, now you're gonna add the sour cream that we had sitting off to the side earlier. That sour cream is the second reason this caramel sauce is totally amazing. Normally caramel sauce has cream and butter. The sour cream adds just a little bit of sharpness. It doesn't actually make the caramel sauce sour, it's still very sweet, but it doesn't make it overly heavy like butter does. So after the cream and the sour cream are added, stick your thermometer back in and cook, whisking at the same time until it gets to 220 degrees. Then immediately take it off the stove and pour it into a separate heat-proof container, and now you can just sit and let it cool. Every once in a while you want to stir it because it's going to start to develop a sort of skin on top as it cools off. You don't want that to happen because it's kind of gross. So just whisk it every once in a while as it sits and cools. And there you go, a caramel sauce that is better than anything you could ever possibly buy in a grocery store. Remember, the recipe is down below in the description. Now everybody go make it, Instagram it, and show me your beautiful, delicious caramel sauce. If you like this video, subscribe for more. Comment down below with any questions you have or recipe recommendations you would like me to try. And I will see you guys next time. Bye!